Hello. And what would it be like if you had the perfect team? And you created that team from ordinary human beings, many of whom were flawed, some may even have been disaffected. And you can create it inside an organisation that's flawed or broken. And all you have to do is apply much better followership questions. Now, that's a big claim. In 7 minutes, I'm going to stop. And you're going to say, yeah, I can see why that would work. No BS. So which of these is wrong? There's a squillion trillion books on leadership. You've got your own styles. Do any of these fit what you've been doing? Which of these is wrong? Going to upset you now. They all are. Because they all assume that one size fits all. We treat everybody the same. And the last one, lead the way you want to be led, very common. That's fine, but that's the way you want to be led. How do you know that's going to be right for other people? So, proof that you need it. Well, a meeting's a good place to hang out and see things going wrong. Motorboating. But we can't do that. Democracy by veto. I recently declared war on 8 members of Parliament. And these 8 plonkers, right, filibustered out 2 really great bills. Yeah, that's democracy by veto. Are they frightened? Will they do it again? I don't know. But they've made a good enemy. And finally, if something's going wrong, it's hard to get the time and the resources to fix it. Once it's gone wrong, you can have as much time as you want for playing blame games. The old joke, the cause of death was the post-mortem. Just a few of the reasons why, yes, followership is what you need. Okay, so you've got your leadership style. Well, bully for you. And you're going to get it right some of the time, especially if you've been recruiting in your own mould. But what do they really need from you at an individual level? Well, you don't know. So let's ask some questions. Much better leadership questions. No BS. Let's go straight in. Surprise, surprise. Question 1. How do you want to be led? We've never been asked that before. So very often when you do that, what do you mean? How do you mean? So you'll need to give them a bit of a prompt in many cases. Right? And you can say things like, look, the best leader that you ever had, what did they do and not do that you want me to follow? And you're not guaranteeing you can do your best. And you can say that. Say, that will be a stretch for me, but I'll do my best. You've heard, you've understood, and you're going to try, you've honoured their leadership requirement. Easy, isn't it? We could stop there, but let's look at some of the other questions. Question 2. How do you want me to delegate to you? And here, again, you might need to do a few prompts. You've got all the options from dump it and run, taking them through an item at a time. Now, a suggestion for you. If they say, well, what would you do, boss? Don't tell them. Yeah? What you do is this, you say. Find the best in the world at doing this. Talk to them. Find out what they're doing. Let's learn. Yeah? Wow, you're doing all sorts of things there, aren't you? And you're teaching the next generation how to fish. How do you want to give me feedback? Here's a few options. Yeah? Loads of them. And it might be which one do they choose? Does it need to be standard? A lot depends upon what's being imposed on you, of course. I'll tell you a story about be careful not to create something that is just there for the bureaucratic sake of it. I was working for one chairman and he used to say, right, I want you 5 directors to have a report on what's happened last week on my desk on Monday morning. And I found out he wasn't reading them because we met weekly anyway. So I couldn't stop doing it, otherwise his frightening, ferocious PR lady would have come and attacked me. Where's his report? So I started putting lines in German in it and jokes in it. 3 months I got away with it before, at the meeting, said, now then, about your weekly report. And I said, fine, okay. You need to understand this, boss. I found that you weren't reading them. Yeah? I've been doing this for 3 months. Yeah? Okay. And in that 3 months, let me tell you what's happened. These other poor sods, directors, they've been spending their Sunday mornings the same as I used to do, writing the report for you. In the last 3 months, I've found something much more interesting to do on Sunday mornings. Huge outbreak. Laughter, of course, is a super weapon for change. And that worked very nicely. Question 4. How do you want your praise? Well, John, we don't need to ask this. We know all the lessons about we don't give enough praise, and we do. Well, perhaps there's another lesson, which is you could be giving out too much. And a lot depends upon where people are from. The two markets I know well are Europe and the US. And there's a critical difference between the two. By and large, the US are far more externally referenced than we are. They need the praise, they need the feedback. In Europe, at least 40% are very internally referenced. And if you get those two mixed up and you start handing out bags of praise to one of those internally referenced people, watch their feet curl. They don't like it. And they don't think you're a very nice person. Now, I was dealing with one chief exec, and he loved dashing around giving out loads of prize. And I was with one of his key performers in an office. She was with 4 other people in this office. And he came in looking for me, and I heard somebody say, right, to her, look out, here comes the boss with his banquet of praise. Yeah? So he then ran up to her and said, oh, that was fantastic, you did this thing, right? And she was having a really interesting observation, looking at her feet and squirming and looking awful. Now, he's no fool. He knew that what he was saying wasn't working. So what did he do? He turned the volume up. He laid it on with a trowel. Anyway, afterwards, I said to him, well, explain this to him. He said, yeah, I understand. Anyway, a month or so later, I'm down there again. And he said, on the way out, we must pop in and see this lady because she's done this job. I want to thank her. So I said, yes, you want to. She doesn't want it. Yes, but I must say, yes, you must. She doesn't want it. Anyway, we're going along, and I wouldn't let him go in. I'm bigger than he is. So I held his arm, and we stood outside this plate glass window, and the office was the other side. And I just tapped on the window and pointed at her. I said, right, and said to him, just give her a thumbs up as a thank you. Well, of course, he couldn't just do that, could he? He had to go, yeah, like this. But that was okay, because 20 foot away, through a half-inch plate glass window, yeah, it's a huge smile. That was the right amount of praise. It wasn't that she didn't want any praise. It was calibrated right for her. Think on. Now, the big one. The very big one. Somebody does something wrong, and you sometimes hear a conversation like this. Yeah, okay, well, it costs us £1 million, but there'd no need to tell me like that, or I don't appreciate this conversation. And it all gets sidetracked onto the way in which the mistake feedback is delivered. Easy peasy to handle that. On the first or second day they're there, they say, now, if you do make a big mistake, how do you want me to tell you? And you might need to, again, to give them a few prompts. Don't assume you're going to know it. There won't be a massive difference here, but enough. So 6 months later, they've made this huge mistake, and you said, remember on day 2, I asked you about this, yeah? Okay, can we just find a room to talk about this privately, and I want you to go away and think about it. In other words, I'm honouring the way you thought about it. Now, they ain't going to be happy, but they are going to be listening. So, I'm delivering this little piece of nonsense a few years ago to some very senior police officers. And they loved it. We came to this one, and they said, and one of them said to me, he said, look, John, he said, you need to understand that you think you're a big, bold business turnaround expert. Everybody in this room is a senior police officer. We can deliver, the management term they use it, bollocking, better than you can. I went, yeah, you're probably right. And then he said, what I just realised is we're very good at it. And the only thing we're better at handing out the bollockings is taking them without having any effect whatsoever. Wow! No wonder he was one of the youngest Deputy Chief Constables ever. Well, this is me doing what I love. Laughing with nice people and being fed. This is from a number of 1.5 sessions I gave to chief executives on followership. So like some of the things we've just done, but quite a bit more in there, more examples. And obviously lots and lots of nice two-way, and it went well. You'll notice there's no booze on the table. So these lovely bits of feedback were not alcohol fueled. I particularly like that last one about audience participation and stalking, which is why I chose this photograph of me towering over the table trying to give people indigestion. I said at the beginning, it's a big promise, but can you see, ask those 5 questions and you will be a much, much better leader because you now understand followership. If you like it, hey, let's talk.